What's happening? It's Eric J. Olson from Array Digital, and today I have the pleasure of being joined by Mike Michalowicz. Did I say it right?
Yeah, you nailed it. I know. It's a hard one. It's a hard one, but you nailed it.
It is a hard one. Yeah, man. I've been practicing for years. I'm a pretty big fan, actually. So for those that don't know, Mike is the author of a book named Profit First and several other books, but Profit First is one that we read many years ago here at Array Digital, and we've been following very religiously for a while. So, hey, Mike, appreciate having you on.
Eric, thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, man. No, definitely. So, hey, I gave you a little bit of an intro, but why don't you kind of give the audience more of an introduction about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So I'm an author guy for small businesses. I'm an entrepreneur too. I've had some businesses. I've had the good fortune of selling some, but had ironically, the better fortune of losing out too. I started one business as an angel investor. I sucked at it. I thought I had the Midas touch, and I clearly do not. And that became this great awakening for me. I started 10 companies that all failed. I wiped myself out financially, and it became a restart for me, which was very important. And I started to study what I really did not know about entrepreneurship, which is almost everything. So that's why I write books. For the last 15 years, I've been an author studying every element I can of entrepreneurship. And then when I find the ultimate hack that I believe works, I use it. I own a few companies now. We use it in our own companies as guinea pigs. And then I write a book about it and hopefully serve many entrepreneurs with it. That's what I do.
That's great. Now, I love the fact that you have the experience of running a business, and you're very humble about making mistakes. I mean, if you're in business and you're not making mistakes, then
you're not in business then, right?
Yeah, I mean, give me a break, you know.
My God.
So I think it's very important to acknowledge those mistakes and learn from them, and then like tell other people how they can avoid those mistakes. So that's great.
I remember once. This is with my second business. We did computer crime investigation, and it was growing very quickly. In fact, the Enron trial broke 6 months after we started this business, and we got part of the Enron trial. We did. It was called the Nigerian barge trial, specifically with Andrew Fastow and Kenneth Lay, those guys. And so my business went from this little bootstrap startup to we're on the map rolling. And I needed to recruit people. So I came up with this genius idea. I said, you know what? Go-getters are the type of people that will show up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning because they want this job so bad. So I ran these ads saying, looking for forensic examiners, looking for sales representatives, basically we call them partners, to work for our company. Got to arrive at 3 a.m. for the interview. 0 people showed up. Actually, I take it back. 2 people showed up. One guy was a UPS driver who fell asleep during the interview, and the other guy was just wasted. And I'm like, what's going on? And it ends up that A-player talent needs to be treated accordingly. You don't have these ridiculous interviews. They're probably working elsewhere. They need to be recruited and coddled. And I was just like, no, the best people will show up. So that's just one mistake, but it was very kind of illustrative of the mistakes I've made and continue to make that I need to learn from. Like it sounds so rudimentary after the fact, but hiring is a process of coddling. And actually, I'm starting to work on a book. It's going to be years from now coming out on the recruiting process, in fact.
Yeah, I'll be very interested in buying that book. Recruiting, I think, is a challenge for a lot of people.
Yeah,
I know it is for us here. And yeah, you want those A players. You always want the A players, and it's very difficult to find them. And I've come to the realization as well that it's rare that they just show up on your doorstep. You have to go out and you have to interact with people in the community, and you have to let them know that you're an A company and you're looking for A players like them, and then maybe they'll come to you.
And part of it too is the business owner's responsibility of matching up great people with the great role they are meant to serve. I was talking with this guy, I just met him yesterday. It's Clint Pulver's his name, and he's a public speaker. He's an author. But he says as a kid when he was growing up, he was very fidgety. And the teachers in class, like, you have to settle down. The principal says, put your hands under your legs and sit on them. And one teacher came to him and said, oh my gosh, you're a born drummer. And gave him drumsticks. He is now a professional drummer and performs. And it's like, wow. Everyone else tried to fit that round peg into a square hole. And one person said, oh, we simply need to put them in a round hole.
Yeah.
I think A players have what's called the immutable values or laws. energy, attitude, intelligence, stuff that we can't train. But when we bring people on like that, we got to make sure that they're matched up to what their natural, drumming talent is, and they'll excel. Sometimes I've had extraordinary people. I didn't even realize I put them in a bad role, and I get frustrated that they're not performing right. It was my mistake.
Yeah, and that's another humbling kind of experience of being a business owner. Is most of the problems that you have in your business, at least for me, are my problems that I've created, right, or that I've allowed to perpetuate.
It's so hard to accept. I'm so blind to it. It's funny. I feel that ever since really wiping myself out in business, I was like, okay, my ego's gone. I'm no longer have this Midas touch. But man, it's there. I feel so confident, and that's part of the script of entrepreneurship. You got to walk forward with confidence in very unsettling situations because that's what entrepreneurship is. But sometimes, for me, that confidence, I confidently walk down the wrong path and do the wrong thing, and I'm just not even aware of it.
Yeah. What do you think about situations where you don't know the answer? Do you think you should still, kind of fake confidence, or kind of admit that, hey, I need help here?
Yeah, I think when I don't know the answer, first of all, to appreciate I don't know the answer and not try to force myself to say, well, I should know the answer, and to actively seek it out, to really get in people that are closest to the problem. So I have a very small business. There's 14 employees, in our company. I'm number 14. So there's 13 other people I work with, and I'm not close to the problem anymore. I used to be. When I first wrote books, when a book would ship, I was the person doing the shipping of a book. And if books were being returned, but now we have a little, shipping department, and there's a person that handles that. But when books bounce back, it's very easy for me to say from my distant spot, we're not using the right carrier, or, we got to double check our entry. But the person closest to it could be, oh no, ever since the COVID pandemic, media mail has slowed down and the delivery rates suck. We actually just have to change the carrier method or something.
Yeah.
So I think it's the more than the willingness, it's the desire to simply ask questions of our team and learn, and maybe get information from multiple people to bring a perspective about and give some direction, as opposed to just rendering opinion and thought, because I'm not closest to the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Actually, we have a comment here from Kevin Daisy, who's the co-founder here at Array Digital, basically saying profit first was life-changing for us.
Nice, Kevin.
And, yeah. Good job, Kevin. It really was. So just a little background on how we've used it. You may appreciate this. I had heard about the book from somewhere. I'm part of the entrepreneurs organization. I think some of those guys were talking
I'm a
about
former
it.
EO myself.
Oh, right on. Okay, cool. So yeah, they were talking about it, and one guy's like $2 million, and another guy's like $30 million. They're both using the system, and they swear by it. And so I'm like, all right, I need to check into it, and I got that book, and just kind of flipping through the first couple of pages. I'm like, okay, we're gonna probably implement this. So I got a copy for Kevin, and I got a copy for Katya, and I'm like, we all need to read this at the same time. Like, we all need to be on the same page, because it's no good if I think I know the solution and force it on them. I need them to kind of partner in on this as well. So yeah, we started using it very regularly. We did the whole deal. So we got multiple bank accounts, we got multiple banks, the whole deal. Yeah. So very, very helpful for us.
I love hearing that. The buy-in is so important. So I'm very happy to report we have well over 500,000 businesses that have now implemented Profit First, and it's getting more and more momentum. The interesting thing is the first step is that mental buy-in. It's and the mental buy-in isn't like, oh, this is the solution to everything. It's like, am I willing to simply test it out and see if it works for myself, to prove it, and to start slowly? And so that often means the leadership team needs to be involved. Whoever touches the money needs to be involved. Me as the owner, I'm still actively logging into our bank accounts. I still look. We have a bookkeeper. We have an in-house controller. It's a kind of loose term because we're too small really to have a controller, but we have someone kind of serving that capacity. And the three of us are actively looking at the numbers, but we all are following the profit first method. The other thing I found is for successful deployments is don't set up all those accounts at first. Just start with one account. We were saying start slow and let it grow. So set up one account, a profit account. As revenue comes in, take a predetermined percentage, put in that profit account, and just let it accumulate a little bit. And over time, you'll see, oh my gosh, my business is accumulating a cash profit, And we can sustain at that 1 or 2% we started at. Why not make it a 3% contribution or 4% of the top line going in? And over time, we expand into it. Of those 500,000 plus businesses, the ones that successfully do it start slow and they roll out profit first over months and sometimes a year or two, and that's okay. But what's not okay is not to try it out at all and to say, well, not for me. I really inspire people or encourage people, just test it and prove to yourself it works or doesn't work.
Yeah, we did exactly that, exactly as recommended and prescribed in the book. Start with 1%. Can your business survive if you just take 1% of revenue and stick it in this other account and pretend it doesn't exist for a while? Of course, right? Everyone's going to say, yeah, no big deal. And we did exactly that. And it wasn't much money, but after a couple months, it started to add up and we went to 1.5%, 2%. And it's been 4 years now. So it has been fantastic. As a matter of fact, we're doing a distribution right now for the first quarter. And it's like, yes, this is awesome.
That's my favorite thing. Yeah, good for you.
We don't feel guilty. But before, everything was in this OpEx account, just one account before, and we were afraid to touch that money because we didn't know what it was needed for. So now it's just, for anyone who's not familiar with it, you have a bunch of bank accounts, and each bank account has a different purpose, like taxes, profit. You can create as many as you want, but the book prescribes, hey, you should probably start with these couple of accounts. So
yeah, we call it the foundational 5. We have 5 base accounts that we found works for every business. And then there's different businesses can prescribe their own accounts. So like if you're in construction, for example, and you have a lot of materials coming in, you may want to set up a materials account just to manage that inventory. If you are, in some kind of service business where you get retainers, for months or maybe even a year of work. Well, what I used to do is I got a big retainer in for a year of work. I'm like, woo, I'm in the money. Yeah. Well, now I set up an account we call the drip. We put money in there and it drips out every week. 1/52nd of that money gets dripped out every week. So it normalizes that income over time. And then I realize what income I'm truly earning. So yeah, you can add more accounts to manage your money better.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that before, but that's a great idea. Yeah, that's excellent.
Oh, I got the ultimate hack for you then.
Yeah, all right.
Check out this one. So a very common question I get among small businesses is we need to hire a key person and we don't know if we can afford them. So when they come on, they got to bring in revenue quickly. But I don't know if I can afford them. So I'm just going to, amplify my own work effort and the team. We're going to work harder to accumulate cash, but we don't know. So here's the hack. Set up an account called New Employee. It's a savings account. Start allocating money based on percentages, but allocating money that would represent the salary that you would likely have to pay them. So what you're doing now is you're proving to the business it can afford the cash flow shift and just start paying this phantom employee into this account. If you can't pay them, you're not ready. If you can keep allocating money, you're ready. But the beautiful thing is now when you go to actually make the hire, you have a reserve of cash for them that you've accumulated during this prove out time. And it could be, 3 or 6 months of salary. Now, when they come on, day one isn't about you better start selling and bringing revenue quickly. Now we have a ramping period. So that's a cool little hack to prove the cash flow and prepare for the future.
I like that a lot. That's cool. That's very cool.
Kevin has 11 bank accounts I see in the chat. It's awesome.
And we want more.
Yeah, go, baby, go.
Hey, man, yeah, profit first, awesome. I appreciate the book. I appreciate it for writing it. If you don't mind, let's kind of back up a little bit in your history. Like, how did you get started in being a business owner at all? And then, how did that kind of morph into becoming an author?
Yeah, so no entrepreneurial aspirations. I didn't deliver the newspaper. My family is not entrepreneurial. So when I graduated college, my dream was just to work for a large company and work for them. Arthur Andersen was around, and I went to the second interview with them, and they said, "You're really not the professional. You're not." They said, "You're not the Arthur Andersen type." And that was like a knife to the. I know. I'm like, oh. What do I do now? And I couldn't get a good job. So one night I was selling computer equipment. One night I went out with another guy that worked at this store. And after too many drinks, I was like, I gotta start my own business. Like I work so hard for this computer store and the owner makes all the money. I get nothing. I'm gonna start my own computer business. Sounds easy. So true story, drunken stupor start, which is not a good way to start a business, especially hungover the next morning. But I left this nasty message for the boss. I'm starting my own company. Next morning, he would not give me my job back. And I started my own business, competing with him and others.
Oh, wow.
And it was a rocky, terrifying start. It took years, but it started to get traction. And then during that time, I started to fall in love with entrepreneurship.
Very interesting.
Oh, ironically, by the way, just to kind of wrap that story, I sold that company to private equity. My second company, which did the computer crime investigation, Arthur Anderson bought it. The people that are not professional enough, sadly they collapsed during the Enron trial, but they respun up into an organization called Robert Half International. They were a division, and they're the ones who bought us. So it's kind of funny.
Interesting. What about the companies now? You mentioned you have a few companies. I assume some of them are in the publishing industry.
Not really. I have a membership organization for accountants and bookkeepers, but it is derived from Profit First. So we have just shy now 600 people who are actively certified in Profit First and teach it globally. I also, yes, you're right. I do have my author business. So I do public speaking and so forth. So this is actually formed a business. There's enough revenue there. I own a augmented reality company in the architectural space.
Oh, wow.
And then I have licensees of different stuff I do. So partnerships. But those are the three core businesses I actively own.
I gotcha. Okay. So you mentioned the Profit First accountants and service providers. So actually, Daniel Kiever has a question about that. How would Daniel find a Profit First accountant?
Oh, great question. So the website we set up for that is profitfirstprofessionals.com. And you can just say, hire a PFP. What we do is we have a form that sorts out. So, the traditional model of hiring an accountant or bookkeeper to guide you through anything is, someone in my town. But really now the new model is, what expertise do you need? Do you want someone that understands the manufacturing industry, or someone that knows book publishing, or whatever industry you're in? So we have PFPs certified in these different verticals. So you fill out the form, and then we'll make introductions, and you can vet these people out, see if they're a fit or not. Yeah, and that's the website right there.
There you go.
So hire a certified professional. That's the link.
Very cool. All right. So that was profitfirstprofessionals.com. We'll put that in the comments as well. So excellent. Well, that's great. So, I've only read of your books, Profit First. I've looked at the other ones. But what are some of the it seems like to me that Profit First gets a lot of attention.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's my big hit.
What
it's like a band. Like if I was the Eagles, I better play Hotel California. That's my Hotel California.
Yeah, probably at some point you're like, hey, let's talk about the other books. Like I put a lot of work into those other books too, guys.
Profit First all day.
What are you working on these days?
Yeah, so my newest book I'm working on is it's called Get Different. And what I did over the last 12 years, I've been studying effective marketing. One thing that's interesting, I have the privilege of surveying both formally and informally audiences through speaking and so forth. I asked small business owners, and small business, I use the SBA definition. That's $25 million in revenue or less. So they're pretty big small businesses too. And I asked, I'm like, what's the number one source of prospects and leads? And the number one source consistently is referral. My existing client base refers, and it's kind of a bragging point. Like, oh my God, I'm so loved by my clients. That is wonderful. But I also argue that's the icing on the cake, because now we are beholden to our customer marketing for us. If that customer says, yeah, I can't refer you business now, or I'm going to a competitor, you're done. So we need a way to throttle and control our lead flow. So then what I did is I said, well, how do we get leads when we want them, and slow it down if we need to? And that's why I studied and Get Different. That there is a foundational formula. There's 3 stages that marketing must have in order to attract prospects and engage them. And first is, hence the book title, Get Different, is we must differentiate ourselves from the common marketing approach. So if everyone is sending emails and your contemporaries are sending emails to your prospects, that's probably the one thing you don't want to do, because that's noise. So how do we differentiate? Because differentiation always gets attention. But the second step is we must be compelling, attractive. So what gets the attention of our audience, but also has them compelled to engage further? Once you have them engaged, the final step is to direct them to take a specific action. There's a lot of great marketing I see that is different, it's attractive, and it does nothing. It falls flat. So we have to have a specific direction to take. And if you use that model, DAD, dad, differentiate, attract, direct, that marketing consistently wins.
I totally
So I outline
agree.
how to do that and develop it for your own business.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. I think referral business is absolutely the best kind of business, but it's unpredictable. You don't know when it's going to come. And most companies do almost nothing to try to generate it, right? They just wait. They're waiting. It's very passive.
Yeah, very passive.
Yeah. So if anything, I think that companies should go out and request it every once in a while, not too much, but be a little more active in trying to get that referral traffic. But beyond that, like you're just kind of waiting. You're waiting for someone to do something for you. And so you have to go out of your way to try to generate your own leads as well. And yeah, right. you have to stand apart from the crowd. A friend of mine wrote a book called Anomaly, and the subtitle is something to the effect of "Stand out from the crowd," right? And if you don't, you know what? Actually, you're not wearing a vest today.
I'm not wearing a vest today, no.
But I noticed in a lot of your pictures, you wear a vest.
Vest.
Yeah. I'm guessing that has something to do with standing out a little bit, being a little bit different.
A little bit, yeah. It's funny. My colleagues here, they made T-shirts that says Mike lives his very best life. Busting my chops. Do your very best.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was something I learned is that, a costume. So I wear a vest for main stage keynotes and stuff. Actually, my first one next week, it's picking up again, going out and presenting. Okay. But, it's funny. I remember meeting Michael Gerber, the fabled author of E-Myth. And we did an event together in Mexico, of all places. And there he was wearing his white kind of pimp looking costume. But I said, why do you wear it all the time? He's like, because you'll recognize me from a mile away. Everyone knows that's me. And I was like, oh, that is really smart. He came up with his distinct costume and leverages that. So he's very easy to distinguish in a crowd. And once you kind of get what he's all about, that becomes very compelling and attractive. That's the guy who told us not to work in a business, but on a business. So it's a really kind of compelling strategy.
Yeah, that's neat. Yeah, bow ties is another strategy that I've seen people will do, right? Always wear a bow tie. You stand out. You're just different. So you have to stand out from the crowd. But also like, DAD, what was the A?
Yeah, attract.
Attract. All right. Where would something like advertising or like we're a digital marketing agency, so where would like digital marketing fit into that?
Yeah, so digital marketing is a fantastic example. The first thing is, and everyone knows this through split testing and A/B, is that if it's not different, it doesn't get noticed. That's why that clickbait is a great example. You see clickbait, and they have some weird, compelling pictures, but they're trying to do something that differentiates and stands out. The second thing is the titling, though, is an attraction ploy. They're trying to use titles that get us to say, oh my gosh, this speaks to me. So attraction is when the customer says, this ad, this marketing gets me, and this will solve a pain or problem I have, or just invokes curiosity. So that's the attractor factor. So much so, I was just reading this article on artificial intelligence. There is now software developed that when you or I visit a website and say Forbes, and there's an article on there, the title changes based upon our history. So you will see a different title than I will because it's more attractive, worded different ways. So we as a small business can do that. And the nice thing is you don't have to buy the AI software or develop something, because if you speak to a targeted community, usually the attractor factor is very consistent. So understand what your community resonates with and make sure your advertising is distinct and then speaks their language.
Yeah. You're talking about the personalization of the titles, right? So it could be like, how to earn $100 million for agency owners, if I'm viewing it, or how to earn $100 million for authors, if you're viewing it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Because you spoke to a powerful influencer, which is community. When you said you're an EO, I'm like, oh, we're connected, right? So we have a connection point. If you say authors, I'm like, oh, that's my community. So using those community tags are very effective.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Your new book, Get Different, when's it coming out?
September 21st, but if anyone's listening live, I invite you to get it right now. It's on Amazon. You can do a pre-order. I'm asking, honestly, it's a very selfish ask. How the Amazon algorithm works is if you are willing to get a copy right now on Amazon, even if like 5 or 6 people get it in a short period of time, the Amazon algorithm says, oh, there's a surge buying, and they'll start doing some bought frequently with, they'll start marketing on the Amazon site, which is a major search engine. So that helps me. So if you're compelled to get it, I'd be honored. If not, it's coming out September 21st.
All right. Well, I will get it. I will buy that right now on
Thank you.
Amazon. Yeah. No, this has been great, Mike. I know you have another interview in about 2 minutes, so I'm going to give
That's
you
right.
enough time for a little bio break.
And I'm going to do that.
All right. Well, hey, I really appreciate your time. If someone wants to get more information about you or your work, what's a good place for them to go to?
My website, which the traditional kind of formats go to the author's name, Mike Michalowicz, but no one can spell it or pronounce it. So go to Mike Motorbike, as in the motorcycle. That's my nickname. Go to mikemotorbike.com, and all my stuff is up there. Tons of free stuff. I used to write for the Wall Street Journal too. There's free articles from there.
Nice. That's awesome. All right. I will put that link in the comments. So anyone who's watching, you can go to the comments and check it out. Mike, I really appreciate your time. It wasn't easy to get you on the show, but thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. Be well.
I appreciate it.